So I have another email here about a dog that I chose to put in the medical aggression section of our dominant and aggressive dog course, because I think that this dog probably has a thyroid problem. Now, we haven't run a blood panel on him, so you don't really know, but I'm going to read it to you. A lot of times when people have these dogs that have a behavior change, that develop an unwanted bite history, they don't recognize that it could have a medical cause. So they don't take it to the vet because they think it's a training problem. They think it's a temperament problem, when in fact, it's a medical problem. So the place to start is with a vet. Preferably find a holistic vet. Ask them to do a blood panel check on your dog. Ask them to check your dog's blood panel with Dr. Jean Dobbs in California. And we have her chart at the bottom of this segment. But I'm going to read this, and it's long because these people have worked a long time trying to solve the problems that this dog has. And there is a bite history here. I have an almost 8-year-old Lab Shar-Pei mix who just bit my 5-year-old niece in the face. Here are the facts. My ex-husband and I adopted the dog at 10 weeks of age. We had no children at the time, but a daughter about a year later. Bogart was always extremely gentle around her. We separated, my ex moving out of the house. He would come back every weekend to see our daughter. Bogart was always thrilled to see him. So up until that point, he sounded like he was kind of a normal dog. So Bogart was always thrilled to see him. One day when Ed, I like his name, that wasn't me, was coming into the house, and as he was opening the screen door, he at the same time bent down to pick something up outside. Bogart saw the door opening and no one was there. So he charged the door and he bit Ed on the nose. At that time, we thought Bogart thought an intruder was coming into the home and was protecting his home. I believe now this was a mistake in thinking. It was a mistake in thinking. Don't kid yourself that in this type of a scenario, your dog is not going to recognize your ex-husband. So now we're at the beginning of this behavioral change with this dog. Fast forward 5 years, I'm remarried with a total of 3 kids in the house. We had a military family and we've moved often. Bogart has been a stellar dog with children, always tons of kids in our home. He plays with them, lets them lay next to him, no problem. One day, I got him a butcher's bone, and he had never had one before, and boy, did he like it. He was in the backyard with it when the neighbor's kid playfully lunged at Bogart. Bogart jumped up, growled, and put his mouth on the child's leg, but didn't bite at all. My vet at the time said he was protecting his bone. Well, he probably was. Don't put him in that situation again, and that Bogart had warned this child but didn't bite. And that was important. It was important. We just moved again, 4th time in 5 years. My husband just deployed for 15 months. He's Bogart's main ball thrower, walker, and playmate. I have 3 kids, and I don't get to walk him as much as I'd like. Again, we've had a house full of kids. Playmates and many other cousins come. We had a party with about 50 people, 20 of them kids, and Bogart was right in the mix. No problem playing beautifully with the kids. Last Thursday, I took him to the vet. He got 2 shots, a DHLLP booster, a Lyme's disease vaccination. He received prednisone for a worsening chronic bronchial disease, and he got his heartworm medicines. He also occasionally has seizures. You think a vet gives a dog all of this stuff and the dog has seizures? I'm sorry. That vet, if I had his name and address, would go in the article I wrote that not all vets deserve our respect or our business. The dog has seizures. That day, my sister-in-law comes over and said Bogart kind of mouthed her hand. Very odd. Think how Bogart felt. Maybe this lady should have gone and had all those shots herself. See how she felt that day. Again, Bogart didn't bite. The next day, we had a total of 6 kids in the house. They'd been playing downstairs the whole time. Nowhere near Bogart. My niece came up and asked me something, then walked around the corner and out of my sight to where Bogart was apparently laying down. I heard her sit down on the floor. Then seconds later, I heard a snarling growl and a scream. He bit her one time in the face, causing 2 puncture wounds and a laceration. She had to get stitches by a plastic surgeon. The doctor said the worst puncture went down the side of the face 1.5 inches. After the incident, Bogart came running into the kitchen cowering, tail tucked. Since that time, he seems like himself. When he had heard me crying about it, he gets all worked up with his tail down and goes into the basement. Should this dog be put down? Is it irresponsible to give him away to a home with no small kids that he might bite? My ex-husband, who is also remarried and has older kids, said that he may take him, but my 6-year-old daughter will be visiting him there. Is keeping him crated when kids are over an option? Well, she says, I missed the signals that I should have caught and been more seriously on managing this dog. You know, these are hard to read. There's a level of common sense that goes here that's not there, but also people just don't know. To allow a vet to give all of these vaccinations to a dog and think that this is not going to bother that dog for a few days or a few weeks, maybe even a few months, is crazy. That dog, if they were going to do that, which we would never, ever, ever do, if they were going to do that, that dog should have come home and rested for a few days in a dog crate, not with little kids running around, not with 6 little kids. And he shouldn't be in the middle of a party with 20 little kids. That's where the common sense is gone. So, yes, the dog should have a blood panel checked. I'm not 100% sure that the dog has hypothyroidism, but I am 99% sure that all of these vaccinations caused this dog to have the problems, the temperament problems that he had. He probably felt terrible. I don't know. You need to find a holistic vet. That's what we do. There's too many vets that are just out there to take your money. And there are too many veterinary clinics that have been bought up by corporate vets, and they're only interested in one thing, and that's your wallet. And they run all these unnecessary tests when in fact they should be more interested in the healthier dog. I wrote an article and I did a YouTube video on it a month or so ago on the problem with these corporate vets. My advice is don't go to one. Find a local vet that is a local vet himself and that he owns his own clinic. Find a holistic vet. If you have to drive 100 miles to a holistic vet, so be it. It's worth it in the healthier dog. It would have helped these people. That poor child probably wouldn't have been bit in the face. So give some thought to the medical needs of your dog. So in closing here, I need to talk about the fact of where these questions and answers come from. They come from the Ask Cindy portal on the front of Leerburg.com. Cindy's my wife. And if you don't need to be a customer of Leerburg to ask a question. If you have a question on training, if you have a question on raising puppies, on healthcare, on breeding, feel free to log in. And you do need to put your email address because the email is tied to the question that you have. And if Cindy comes back, or if you come back a week or a month or a year later, she can call up all of the questions and answers that you've written in on and review them. And it's just a better way for her to help. We don't sell mailing lists. We don't spam people with our mailing list. We do have two weekly newsletters that go out, but people can opt into those newsletters. If they want to opt out, they're off the list and they don't get a newsletter. They also they don't learn about when we have good sales on our online courses either, or on the equipment that we sell. So, if you have a question, ask Cindy. She answers them usually the day after people write them in, unless she's not feeling good or unless she's traveling.